Ooh, hello. Oh yeah. Mason, you there?
Yep, I am indeed. Ah, shit, I need to put my video on. There
Oh,
you go.
there we go. We're in. Oh yeah. I've just gotten out of bed, and you can tell.
Hello, everyone.
Hey guys, so everyone. So we'll just give a couple minutes while we get going. But while you guys are all here, if you click on the chat option down the bottom, it'll open up your chat on the side. So during the webinar, if you have any question for, if you have any question for Mace, just pop it in there. Alternatively, if you'd rather say your message, speak your message, we can unmute your mic and we can do it that way. See, there's a little icon when you put your, it should be on the side as well with a little blue hand. If you click that, it'll show that you want to ask a question and we can unmute you. But yeah, pretty much it, I guess. Mason, you've obviously got your plan all sorted and you know what you want to go on to. So do you want me just to hand it over to you?
I guess so. We had some questions the other day. G'day, Hayden. On exits. So I guess I'll go over that one first. Okay. Just have a quick look. Looks like most people haven't seen the other one. Cool. All right. So as I said before, guys, a lot of this stuff we haven't really got through a full one before because there's been a lot of questions. So if you do have questions, just let me know because I have finished the tutorial for the head up stuff and I will be releasing that very soon. So let's go to exits. So I'm going to talk about recovery exits and normal exits. I talked about this, I think, last time a little bit. And let's just see the normal. Okay. Cool. So most of the time, what's going to happen when you're flying and starting to learn head up is the exits are not going to be good. I'm going to share the screen here real quick. The exits aren't probably going to be fantastic. I'm going to delete a couple of these. Sorry, guys. When's the first fleet? Never know when that's going to come in handy. Cool. Okay. So exit recovery. Let's look at this one first. All right. So when we talk about exits, a lot of the key stuff that we're talking about, actually, I'll show you a good one, is where the legs and the torso are pointing in relative to the relative wind. Now, for the head down exit, as I'm sure most of you may know, if you fly head down already or back angles or anything, what we're aiming to do, actually, sorry, I'll stop this screen share real quick. What we're aiming to do is if the relative wind's this way, we're going to hop off, we're going to fall so the wind hits our shoulders first, and then we fly down into the relative wind until we're head down with the wind coming from the vertical spot. Okay, so head up, we're trying to do the same. We really want to try and make sure we have these legs and feet into the relative wind. But the key isn't just those, it's also the shins as well. So this is Antonio, this is him exiting extremely flat. But it's a good example of the relative wind. So you can see he's almost on his belly and his torso is almost equal with the horizon here. Okay, so this is pretty much key, is getting off like you're on pretty much belly flying and having the shins, so you're exposing the front of the shins to the wind slightly. Okay, so you can see here how the belly is a bit lower. He's actually looking under the arm at me and the shins are probably exposed a bit more than the back of the legs. Okay, as I said, this here is pretty much ideal, what you're trying to get if you're trying to go flat for head up. And what I'm talking about a lot here is going to be flat head up, not actually steep head up. Okay, so flat head up is a fair bit harder, but once you learn the controls for flat head up, they translate really well to the vertical, and you'll find your vertical head up will become very different. Now, I showed this one last time. So a lot of these positions here, you're going to see some differences with these guys. So you'll see Bogsy on the left. He kind of didn't really nail the exit so much, but his recovery was really good. If you look at Brent here in the white t-shirt, he essentially nailed the exit because he didn't wobble. But you'll see that his shins, his feet and his shins are pointed a lot more towards the ground, okay? So because he's pointing them towards the ground, although he nails the position, he actually shoots away vertical really, really quickly. See that drop away? So that's because his shins are pointed. As he sees the angle and the pitch that I as a leader am on, he then lowers his legs, which allows him to then drive forwards. Now, Boguesy in the blue, he screws the exit a little bit, but his recovery is a lot quicker. Now, the reason his recovery is quicker than these two guys down here is because when I play it again, if you watch his arms, you'll see he doesn't push on his arms. He kind of accepts the stuff up that happened, and then he recovers from that stuff up, rather than trying to fight it and trying to muscle the stuff up. Okay, so this is a big key in head up. A lot of people try to watch his arms. So very, very, very minimal push and pressure on those arms. Okay, so you have to remember and think, if at all you feel pressure and this thing they call power, that's actually drag. So it's actually slowing you down. It's not actually power. It's going to slow you right down. Okay, so anytime there's tension, it's generally drag. So let's see if the other guys. So you can see Brent here, he has that left arm of his on the right arm of the screen as you're watching it. He has that pushing right down as well. So that in turn, this arm is acting as an anchor because he's using it to control. So he's using it to catch drag and to present it so drag hits it. So he has some sort of stability. But that stability comes at a payoff, which is drag pulling you away from the formation. So you can see that tension. It's only small, even can come from one arm. And then you can see the tension here, down here. That's why he's so low, because Ryan's just gonna have a lot of tension on those arms. So that's causing drag. So it's essentially acting, if I stop the screen share, because it's causing drag and he's holding with his arms here, essentially if you look at this, imagine this is a sort of, come prepared this time. Where is it? No, I haven't come prepared. Yeah. I actually had a little dude that I can show.
You're talking about the workshop.
All right, I've failed again. Sorry. So you'll see, because he's pushing the hands down, essentially what's happening, if we look at this as a side profile as a body, so I can move my hips forward and my hips back, so if I'm facing this way. If I change the top of this, then I'm going to be causing drag, and I'm going to start having the body start going steeper, okay, because there's that little bit of drag here, so it pulls the body steeper. So that's really important to try and have that slipping straight, which the arms are straight, and then you can control with your feet, which we'll go on to in a sec. I think we'll talk about controls next rather than the levels. We can talk about the levels at the same time. Okay, so you can see they're back on. A really quick note with the levels. I'll stop here real quick because you can almost see them. Okay, so you'll notice with the levels here, they're a little bit different than other ones. You'll see some jumps where they have
You're going to chuck your screen back on, bro?
I've just noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is great looking at you, though.
It is, yeah. All right, here we go. I'm back on. So you'll see this screen here where Fongy's the leader and I'm the leader. So we've got two groups. And you can see Dom's up a little bit high, and these guys are kind of along the same line of the horizon. So this is what we're talking about levels. So we don't really want to see the leader here and then a back fly here and then a back fly here and then a back fly here. Okay, so and then a belly fly here and here. We want to think about the same as angle flying or head down flying, where as much as we can, we have the leader and then we have the back and the belly, so that they're on that line of the horizon. So if anything's dropped, he may be a little bit too far low, so he might want to come back up a bit. So his feet and head are in line. But if he's in my group, then he's fine. Pretty sure he's actually in Fongy's. Okay. So let's talk a little bit. Shit, I don't want to do that. Let's talk a little bit more about controls. Okay, so that's just exit. So I'll show you real quick one more exit for the in face. And I'll talk really quick about exit. Okay, so this is one of myself exiting for in face, and don't worry about the setup for the door so much. Think more about the feet, of where the feet are being presented. Okay, so you can see here as I'm leaving, my torso falls back, and the last thing to leave the plane is the foot. Okay, so this way, it's just like if you do the trust game with your mate when you're at primary school and you let go and then you close your eyes and he has to catch it before or she has to catch it before you hit the ground. Essentially, that's what you're doing with the plane. You're letting go, not nearly needing to try and jump off, but you're letting go, letting the torso fall back onto the wind. And once it falls back, the last thing to leave the plane should be the feet. And then we can have those shins pointing into the relative wind, matching the same line through the thighs, through the torso, and to the arms. Pushing off the arms as least as possible. I'm pretty sure I do actually push off this one a little bit. So you can see my hands going back slightly, ever so slightly. Just to stability, and as quick as you can, lift them up again. Because if you keep pushing, this is what's going to screw you over for the exit and make you stall, essentially. So that's another exit. That's the ideal one you want to try and do, but if you can't, it's all good. So this is real quick to set up, and then I'll get on to the controls. Okay, so you can see here, this is for the belly exit. This caravan is probably the best one to exit head up from, I'd say, because you have a handle that's actually behind you. So you can, as you're sitting there, you can see I'm reaching behind me. So I have the grip behind me and the other one's in front. And I'm setting my torso up so the torso is over this side of the feet towards the tail. So when I let go of the plane, naturally my torso is going to fall forward, which is going to put that into a more aerodynamic, stable position, I guess, for this. So you can see again, the last thing to leave the plane is my feet. As it comes off, I'm catching more wind on the shins than the back of the shins. So this is going to feel like it's going to want to tip me forward more, but the belly's still getting a lot of wind. Okay, so you can see it's almost like I'm belly exiting. If you can knee fly in the tunnel, just think of knee flying, literally just knee flying, okay, and fall the torso onto the wind. Knee flying is probably the one that helps that exit the most.
Hey, Mace, we've got a question here because you are talking about the arms a lot from Matt. I think you mentioned it on the last webinar, but if at any point throughout the skydive you use your arms, when would you and why?
Okay, so that brings us to a good point. It's not wrong to use your arms. It's okay to use your arms, and it's not wrong. They're just going to slow you down a little bit. So if you need to use your arms in the beginning, go for it. It's going to give you control. It's going to give you stability, but just know the end result and the end goal is to try and as much as you can get off the arms. Now, controlling with the legs is probably the most important because it's going to be like when you're flying head down or belly angles or back angles. You're flying mostly with the torso and the head, and that's where you're steering. You can steer with the arms a little bit there, but ideally you want to try and steer with the chest and have that open. So using the arms isn't an issue. Just think of this as terms of what happens when you do this. Think of it in aerodynamics. If you pull your arms down, it's going to change you a little bit. So it's probably going to, I'll get into it in a sec if you, in more detail, but if you're having your arms here, it's probably more of a steep position. You're not going to be able to go as flat as much. If you do hold your arms, change your pitch. Once you change your pitch to a bit flatter, then you can extend your arms again. Arms essentially brakes speed when they're fast. So arms up above the head. And if you want to go slow, you can apply brakes. If you want to go fast, straighten your arms. It's the same with the legs. You want to go fast, have them straight. You want to go slow, bend them into that knee fly position you just saw before. Fast, slow, fast, slow. So they're just controls. So don't think of one as right or wrong. But if you look at your position, you go, my arms are bent, you're probably braking. If your knees are bent, you're probably braking. If they're both straight, you're probably going very quick. So I'd probably say that's the general terminology, I'd guess, with that one. Did that answer the question? If it didn't, just tell me it didn't, and I'll try and answer it again. That one. Right, so let's go on to controls. Is there any more questions there, Chris, from anyone?
No, but guys, if you are, feel free for sure. Like Mason's here for you guys, and girls. So if you have a question, pop it in the side, and I'll make sure I bring it up. And he's just going to keep cruising through and filling your head with knowledge.
All right, let's go control. So I'm going to just show a picture for levels real quick. Levels. Got to do screen share again, don't I? There we go. All right, so levels. you can see here what I was talking about. The green dude, he's on his belly, okay? The back guy, the green guys, they're on their belly, and the blue guys, they're on the back, okay? So in face in the tunnel for the blue guys, green guys out face for the tunnel, okay? Red guys off level. As I said before, you can do where this red dude here and this red dude here, you can do the level there, but it really needs to be stated because you can't have different levels throughout the jump for the reasons of if he corks into these guys who are on the correct level, he's going to get injured and be blame these guys for killing him, which is probably his fault. Same with this one. If he corks, he's going to hit them. If one of these guys cork, they're going to hit these red guys. So just try to be on the same level, whatever that level is defined as at the start of the jump. Try to stay on that one. Okay, so we're in controls now. I'm going to talk a little bit about up, down, legs. So this is when I was saying about isolating the legs. Stop doing that. So this is talking about isolating the legs. So as I said, just not thinking of one control as in arms, only using the arms or only using the legs. Think of them as 4-wheel drive. And at the moment, I'm going to be talking about them in 2-wheel drive. So you'll see this here. This is me. And I'm just using the legs. So essentially what I'm doing, if I go back, I regress slightly. Okay, essentially what I'm doing is I'm moving my body only along the pink line. So I'm not moving it forwards or backwards. I'm not trying to cup it and move up. I'm just moving just along that pink line, which is the line of descent. Because we're tracking along here, okay? We're not tracking along that black one. So you'll see I just use the legs. Now, by opening the legs, you're catching all that wind on the inner thigh and it's allowing the torso to stay on that line of pitch and you're able to isolate the legs just so you go up and down just with these. Okay, so it's just catching that air on the inner thighs. Then if you want to go forwards, then you can change the pitch of the torso and this is going to drive you forwards. Okay, so there's many, many, many ways to do this. So I don't want to have people think that this is the only way to go up and down. It's not. It's just one of 10. Sorry if I'm brushing through this quick, guys. As I said, I've got all this that I will be sticking up hopefully later today on my YouTube channel for this exact seminar. So that was the legs. Now, if we talk about the arms of how I said before. So this is talking in-face tracking. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is here. So if you watch the arms of this one here of myself, you're going to see I'm a little bit lower. I hope this is the one. No, that's not the one. I'm talking to my ass again. Here we go. Okay, so if you watch the arms, I slightly bring my arms down. Now I'm talking about my arms again. This is just the opposite effect of what the other one is, so I really want to show that. These guys should be more prepared. Right. There we go. Right. So as I said, I'm being picky. All I want to show is just the one drive, which is the legs, and then I can show you the arms as well. So you can see my arms are quite straight here. You can see my legs are quite vertical. Okay, so in essence, I should be starting to drop off. If I want to start flattening back out, I cause the drag up the top end of my body, near my arms, and this is what brings me back up slightly. Okay, you can see now I've brought the arms down, so I've caused drag, and then I start raising. Okay, so it only has to be ever so slightly. It doesn't have to be heaps and heaps. Boom, I've dropped, drag, straight back into slot. Okay, so that was just using the arms, nothing to do with the legs. So if you now do the legs and the arms, obviously this reaction is going to happen a lot quicker. And this is why I like to say don't just try to focus on using the arms or just using the legs. Now, the thing you'll find is very consistent throughout controlling head up flying is going to be these forearms. All right. So a big thing here, what I'm doing is I'm not necessarily pushing back on the wind. I'm keeping my hands in front of the head. As soon as I push on the wind too much, I'm going to cause too much drag. So you can even see now the arms are still in front of that head. If I wanted to be picky, I'd tell myself to put my head back because my head's actually not back. My chin is back, but my head is not back. And if I explain this real quick, the mentality of thinking. So if you watch my screen, this is the difference between many people can say, put your head back, and people will do this. Head back, which is not wrong, or head back, okay, which is two versions of head back. But what we're aiming for is head up and back. So the spine stays neutral, you don't get a double chin, and you don't lose that wind at the back. So everything stays neutral. So that way, essentially, the wind's hitting the body the entire way up. It's not getting caught into any crevices or corners or anything like this, and no turbulence. It just spills straight off the back of the body. Okay, so really important to keep that head neutral. No double chin and no stabbing it back. So if we look back again at my body position, we're going to see my chin is a little bit back. Okay, so it's not going to have a major effect. It's just going to have a slight effect. And once we start going really flat, you're going to really see that slight effect. So this one here I wanted to show was the arms, just using that as brake. So the tricep area as a brake rather than the forearm and the hands. So I'm not necessarily pushing off the hands. Now, if we look at, okay, this is another one with a head up exit, not back. I just wanted to show a good exit. Let's watch this one. Okay. So this is, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the arms and the torso. So you'll see Antonio down the bottom here, and you're going to see I'm looking at him below my arms. Okay, so this is the key, is to have your head behind your arms, especially when you're moving forward. So you see his head back, his chin's not down, he's not crimping, he's the back of his neck. It's just nice and straight, and his hands are like this wavy spaghetti arm man from out the front of the car shops. They're just relaxed. Now mine are quite relaxed too. He's still moving forwards. I'm going to talk about how he's moving forwards in a second. And there's one point when I stop moving forwards, and you'll see, as I said, I'm being picky. This is when I start getting claw hand here. So you can see all the tension starts building in my arm, and this is going to spread to the rest of my body as well. So it's where tension is. You can see it relaxes there. Okay, so that's one reason why I don't get up, is because I tense. But the other reason is because he's steering with he's not steering with his arms. He's essentially steering with his feet. Now, if you watch here, we watch the really, really subtle movements. You're going to see why his arms can be relaxed, and he's actually steering his feet like rudders. Essentially, I'm doing the same in mine, but you just can't see them. Just see that little movement. I'm not sure if you guys' screens are glitchy or not, but he's just steering with those feet ever so slightly. So when you're trying to fly head up as much as you can, as I said, this isn't in the beginning. This just takes over time. Try to focus on steering the movement with the feet rather than with the hands. Now, if you want to steer with the feet and gain forward lift, from what I've found, the easiest way is to use the feet as like pedals in a car, and think of them as a throttle. Now you'll notice what he does at one point. If I go backwards, he's going backwards here. Is he's pointing his toes in this one as much as he can. And what happens when you point the toes in head up moving, it flattens the body out. And if this is my shin, I'm going to stop this recording real quick. If this is my foot just here, and this is my shin, essentially when I push my foot down and point my toes, see how the shin flattens out as well. So now the whole leg becomes at that same pitch and that same angle. So essentially, if I'm here, I'm going to be going steep. I point my toes, the body flattens, it's going to start getting lift. And if I want to stop gaining that lift, I bring those heels back down, which is going to bring my body back steep again. So you can really train that just with the feet. Now, the key is when you do this with your toes, it's going to feel like you're about to cork. So it's going to feel like you're going to cork up. Essentially, that's what you want to do. You're trying to cork because you're going up. So essentially, when you're pointing your toes, you're just controlling the cork. and you're controlling how much you cork, and you're like, okay, I've corked enough, and then bring your feet back up. This happens extremely quick when you first start doing it. So try and do it as a 2-way. Don't try and do it as an 8-way or stuff like that. Otherwise, the mind's going to be worrying too much about where's the other dude? Am I going to hit him? How steep am I? Shit, the leader's gone a bit more. Fuck, he's a bit far away. I don't know if I can reach him now. So there's just all those chatter in the mind. So you're better off doing it as a 2-way and really trying to refine this stuff. That's the whole thing me and Antonio would do most of the time. Sorry, I was just reading a couple of messages. I'm like, has there been anyone? All right. So let's go back to screen share. Cool, so that's just talking about the feet a little bit. So arms in line, try not to push them back. As you can see here, if he pushes his arms further back behind him anymore, he's going to disrupt the flow from the legs through the torso to the arms. He's going to cause them to become tense. Even that hand there, you can see that hand's tense, just how he's got it. As I said, I'm being very picky here, guys. So he relaxes the hand. Now it looks a lot more tense, less tense. You can see that switch between tension and relaxation, okay? It's still very, very difficult to take that to not be tense the whole time. So don't beat yourself up if that happens. It happens all the time. So up, down, gaining lift. Okay, so this is a good example, I guess. So this is talking more about that line of approach. So if I go back to, stick it where I'm below. If I go back to this one. Okay, so for this, you want to try and not approach straight direct to the leader. So think about if we're using this black line as the horizon, you want to approach along that horizon. This still does work, but from what I found, the quickest is along that horizontal line and approaching in, just like this. So LSD, level, slot, dock. Okay, so come in level first, then get in your slot and then dock. Try not to approach from above. It does work, but it's best not to. Try not to approach from below. These are safety reasons why you don't do that, but this is still the quickest. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of this. Essentially, I'm where old matey red guy is, but maybe another 200 feet below. Bit of music. So I'm below, I'm trying to come up, it's not working. So I flatten the body out. It's a really shitty view, I'm sorry. I lose that distance, but now I come up along that horizon level. You can see here ever so slightly, if I move this out of the way, I'm pointing my toes ever so slightly now, okay? And then I'm able to drive forward. Okay, so it's really important that I find that the easiest. So if you're struggling to come up here, so you can see what I do, I don't do the widening the legs at this stage, okay? So that's why I say that that's only one way to do it. What I actually do is I let the legs go, I accept that I'm far away, and I lose that distance, because I know if I switch myself onto this one, if we're both on this angle and we're traveling in this direction, if I cause this surface area and lose my legs, so my legs essentially go above my head, these guys are still going to keep traveling. So I've essentially done an air brake. This is why I say do this on 2 ways. Don't do it 6 ways, 8 ways, because you might have another 10 guys behind you when you decide to do this air brake on an 8-way. So do it on a low one. I don't recommend using this all the time. You're flying, I use the air brake, I've let them go. Once I've seen that I'm on that same pitch with the horizon, I've tilted my body forward again, and then I've made my approach along that horizontal level rather than trying to come up this. Because essentially here, I'm driving forward and trying to come up at the same time. Whereas now, all I'm doing is just driving forward. That's all I'm doing. Now, we'll go back to screen share, you can see that again. So I'll watch that real quick again. So just down here, you've lost a lot of height. Lost it, come back up onto level, and then approach. So the same principle applies for everything: vertical, head down, head up, level, slot, dock. Okay, here you can also see what I was talking about the braking with the knees. I know it's a really shitty blurry picture, guys. I'm sorry about that. Boom, so I broke. I broke with the knees as well as the arms. Once I've maintained level, okay, I'm on level. I've straightened those legs. Okay, I want to accelerate some more. I've started straightening the arms. No, I'm good at this pitch. And then I can change my levels. Sorry, excuse me. I change my levels again. Cool, that coffee went down different. Cool. Right. So, does anyone have any questions of those ones? I'm brushing through these pretty quick today.
There we go.
See
You've just got one there, actually. It's quite a big one.
Yep.
So from Joseph, Roberto Hernandez presented a concept of levels where there is not the concept of level with horizon, but level of head to head. Just to avoid the burble, you offset the slot horizontal, so you can take grips and react much faster to heading change. Does it give sense to you also in the head up track? And what is your experience with this kind of leveling? Sorry for the big one. You might want to read that again if you want to.
Yeah, this, as I said, this is why you use no such thing as right or wrong levels. It just needs to be clear which level you're choosing, okay? Because if everyone's on the same page, it's sweet. The one I'm guessing he's explaining, whoever wrote that, if you can correct Chris or just because I'm on screen share at the moment, just let him know if I'm wrong. Are you referring to a level where this guy here and this guy here and this guy here are essentially the correct levels of what they're trying to achieve, not this level? So in its essence, you're head to head this way. Yep, cool. I can see you pointing. That works, but you actually get more of a burble, way more of a burble. This one you get less, because if you think about it, this burble here is going along that pink line. Now, if I put my feet really, really close, feet to feet, see where this line is here? Essentially, their burble is going to be coming off not in a straight line that way, but it's going to be going this way as well. So if I'm sitting under him without this feet there, I'm going to be burbling the front of him. That's why when people, if I'm flying as a leader myself and I'm flying here, I hate it when this guy comes and sits directly under me and his feet levels are there, because he's burbling the fuck out of me the whole time. I'm just going like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, because I'll show you, and I'll do this. I can see you miming it with your hands there. I'll show you with the, essentially the burble. If we're looking at it, if my palm here is the feet and that palm there, if I'm like this, that burble is going to be coming up that way. Whereas if I'm down this way, that burble is going to be coming up and just missing the head.
Just the concept was like this, that if you go like this,
yep,
yeah, it's like this, and when you offset it,
yep,
to the side, then you don't get a burble, and you
exactly.
can be head to head.
Yep, but you need to be offset.
Yeah, that's
yep.
the point.
Exactly. Yeah, and if you're not offset, then that's why I said this will work. It's not essentially wrong, but ideally, if you want to do this and then we want to go flatter, you must go like this. Because then you've got no burble. Because if you're flat now and you're above each other, then you're going to have issues as well. So that's why ideally if we go flat, 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 no burble, and then we can go here. Whereas if we go flat, 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 burble comes out.
Yeah.
Ideally, whenever I'm flying head up anyway, we offset like this anyway. So that way, even if you can go flat, you might be flat like this, but it's offset this way too. Yeah. So I try not to have them below, because generally if they get below, then they have the boogie slot, I guess. And then the boogie slot person always gets really, really keen and burbles the hell out of the leader. And it makes it really difficult for them to start flying when you're getting burbled the hell out as well. So definitely don't say what he's saying is wrong. It's 100% not. My biggest thing for head up moving is just as long as the leader describes what we're aiming for, then man, you can fly. If you're flying, we'll go this direction again still. If you're flying this direction, you can fly like that if you want. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's all good. As long as everyone knows where they are and why we're doing it, then we're good. So I try not to say right or wrong. There just is what there is, I guess.
We've got another question there from Matt. In regards to turning throughout the jump, is using your feet, legs, to turn the most efficient way to go, or is banking with your body more, or a mixture of both? Personal preference. What do you think?
A mix of both if you can. Ideally, the best from what I've found is just trying to present as the most efficient surface area. So if you have to add tension with your legs where you're like really forcing them down to turn, no, it's got to be subtle movements. So those subtle movements essentially is if I'm looking straight down So if I'm back like this now, and we move our feet, if we're doing a little bit, you can see how the top of my hand starts turning anyway. So essentially turning with the feet is creating a corkscrew like a propeller, which then turns the top of the body. Whereas if you just do the feet and the torso stays the same, you're going to be causing drag. So essentially you want to try and turn the whole body at once. So the arms follow with the legs rather than just doing the legs, and the arms stay the same. So the whole torso. So everything, ideally. Think 4-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. So first, if you are learning this stuff, isolate the legs, use your arms. Yeah. Screw with your legs. Go faster, go slower, go faster, go slower, learn to turn, and your arms are locked in. Cool. Once you've got that control, lock your legs in and then fuck around with your arms. Go a little bit more with the arms, faster, slower, faster, slower. Once you've got the arm control and the leg control, then try to combine them. And once you've combined them, then you'll find, okay, now I can start learning the subtle stuff. You might then start learning the feet or the knees or the shoulders. So you start, rather than making it big, legs, arms, then start doing just really, really incremental. Ah, cool. Just some people saying thank you. Yeah, nice work, Joseph. A couple of people asking the same thing. All right. So has anyone got any other questions? Otherwise, I'm starting to get a bit distracted with what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we've got just under over 3 minutes, so I imagine you'll chew that up pretty quickly. So if there's one more. Oh, there we go, from my main. Do you recommend to keep legs symmetrical to manage levels, going to knee fly or split legs to the side, or is it also efficient to let only one leg go up? So I guess using one side of the control.
Yeah, as I said, guys, like none of this is wrong. It all does stuff. Okay, it all works. I've seen footage of people flying with knee flying, another dude with one leg up, and another guy with his legs straight and his arms bent, and they were all on the exact same jump, and they were all at about a meter away from each other. So it all works. Yeah, that's why I don't like telling people you're doing it wrong, because if they're there in the jump, they're obviously doing something right. So try not to think about them as, ideally, if it's the most efficient way, everything straight together. I'll show you the most efficient position. That's it, right there. Controlling with the legs, controlling with the feet, arms relaxed, head's nice, neutral, torso is clean. That's the most efficient position for head up, back moving, flat, everything. Controlling complete with the legs, which controls with the torso. The other way was the arms on pushing, I think it was this one. You can see here on the transition, arms straight, everything's neutral, head's neutral to the arms, and the legs are straight, no arms bent down. Obviously, that's most efficient. If you only know this position, but you're going to be stuck essentially in gear 3 in a car, and you're going to be just redlining it the whole time if you're trying to control everything from that position. You have to know the shit positions. You have to know bent arms. You have to know bent legs. You have to know all the controls to be able to steer efficiently the most. If you only know gear max, when it comes time to get back or go to a different jump, it's essentially learning to fly your parachute without learning to use the brakes. Just steering in the harness the whole time. So you need to know how to use brakes and how to do the wrong position, how to fly one leg up. So experiment with everything is the biggest thing I can say. Don't think of it as right or wrong. Think of it as in what happens when I do this. And when that pushes you somewhere, that's what that control does, essentially. That's how we've done it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mason. We're just under a minute. So, man, from us, I just want to say thanks, man. You've been awesome. And I believe everyone here, we've got 30 odd people, and I'd say you guys are all pretty engaged. I've learned a bunch. I hope you guys have too. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you, Mason, for giving us all that knowledge, man. It's been sick. I hope everyone's safe. And I'm not sure if we're doing another one, but if we're not, you've been awesome, bro. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem, guys. Yeah, as I said, I'll hopefully have this stuff stuck up by the end of today to finally edit. I've edited a whole heap of more footage. It's just hard to crack them under 30 minutes. That's been the problem. He's cutting them down. So, yeah, it's too much of me just going off.
Cool. Nice one, guys. We're about to get cut off, but thank you very much. Have a great day wherever you are, or evening.